has this happened to you guys yet? Where like you're watching something and you go, "Oh, wait a minute, maybe I've seen this already."
You
Like
know,
Not often.
like I told her
Twice on this show.
Bloom Girl's
I've
like,
ever-
you've seen that movie. I'm like, I do not fucking remember seeing this movie. And then I'm still not 100% convinced that I've seen this movie, but there were a couple of moments where I was having like a flashback, like there's something about this that feels oddly familiar.
Mhm.
I would think that based on the strength of at least the first half of this movie that I would have remembered, because the first half of this movie is so fucking good.
Yes.
Like it's this weird, like I said, they brought the Scorsese universe into this movie so that they could talk, like be complete caricatures of the characters they usually play on talking about Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
And the cinematography by our friend
Robbie Mueller.
Robbie Mueller is great.
That's the thing. I watched the opening credits and I just saw that weird, highly saturated glow, and I was like, that's Robbie Mueller. It's got to be. And
I really like Jim Jarmusch movies. Like I like most of them. I like a lot of them a great deal. I think my favorites is probably like Down by Law and the Elvis.
I may be
one.
picking some more.
Yeah, I mean, pick the Elvis one. I freaking love that movie.
Mystery Train.
Mystery Train, yeah.
There's a point watching this where, like, after he kills those guys, there's like about 15 or 20 minutes where it's like the movie, like suddenly there's just a lot of driving around and nothing really happening, and like at like the 90-minute mark, like this movie could have been over really, but it just keeps going. And that 20 minutes of inertia for me just kind of like, I still like this movie, but that 20 minutes kind of killed it, a lot of it for me.
Kind of overstayed its welcome, you think?
Well, I couldn't tell what the hell, like where the driving, so much driving. We're going to talk later about guys, just sort of wandering around in a trench coat saying nothing.
Yeah, we'll talk about
a lot of driving around saying nothing.
I almost put in the chat, I wanted to put, I never realized samurais did so much carjacking.
Yes, they did. It's one of those little known things. Although this was a definite commitment to the whole, like, okay, this guy lives the Bushido code, and they definitely kept hitting it over and over again, which I appreciate. Yeah. The guy's going to do it. He does it properly. He's got a sword out, and he does, the whole thing, the meditative thing, and he's very loyal.
He's whipping around the silenced gun like as if it was.
Well, he doesn't use the sword to kill people. He uses guns because he's a fucking professional.
Right. Yes. But he's also very loyal to his boss, and almost to a fault. Which is very much a samurai trait, It's like these guys.
It's interesting because the whole thing about him being saved by the criminal, it's sort of the story. If you know about gangsters, Bugsy Siegel and Meyer Lansky and Lucky Luciano became friends because Lansky was being beaten up by some husband of the woman he was screwing, and Luciano came and saved him by beating the other guy up with a pipe, basically.
Wow.
Yes, and then he said, "I need a Jew." So that's no, really, that's what he said.
Yeah, I believe it.
I would be remiss without commenting on, like, Henry Silva's performance in this movie is so over the top, like crazy, while also being it's like David Lynch, like, I'm going to go total, like, I'm going to have one expression, speak in monotone, and watch Woody Woodpecker cartoons.
Everybody
was
watches
a strange motif.
Cartoons.
I know that's
and every time you see a cartoon, what is happening in the cartoon has just happened in the movie itself.
Yeah. And all that girl does is watch cartoons.
Or is just about to.
Yeah. That's really odd. It's very strange. It's almost like that, the unreliable narrator thing. It's like if this was like Ghost Dog telling the story, you'd believe all the coincidences like that.
Well, it really made me want to go and revisit The Sopranos, because a lot of their stuff that takes place in Satriali's there.
Yeah. Some of this was made the same time the show was on in the same town. This is all shot in Jersey City. Yeah, although they didn't call it that, they very cleverly covered it up. Different plates, No one called it by name. I even noticed
Yeah,
I was
it was
looking
like
at the
50.
Right, they had a few names of states like the so and so.
The industrial
They
state
called
or
it the
something.
industrial
Industrial.
state,
Yeah.
and
There's a
something else.
bit where they're outside of a Chinese restaurant in the beginning of the film, and I looked up the area code. It doesn't exist.
Right.
They even
Oh,
changed
really?
that out, So it was really well, in that respect, it was well done. But it looked
It's a movie.
felt-
It's a movie that exists in a fictional universe, and
Sure.
Yeah,
it's the fictional universe is 4 degrees off from ours.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's like
Like
the Sliders
Tarantino
episode where
Pulp
where
Fiction,
everything's
you know.
the same except the Golden Gate Bridge is blue.
Yeah.
Like
I used to be in love with this movie so much when it came out because it combined everything I loved at the time, which was like art house pictures, but also like hip hop and gangster movies.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I just was obsessed with it. I had the soundtrack. I still have the DVD. And now watching it all these years later, I still like it, but I realize how ridiculous it all really is as well. It's just sort of like he takes so many different, it's like the samurai, the urban gangsters, the mafia, it's like a kitchen sink.
comedy.
But somehow it still hangs together and it
I
all
laughed
kind
a
of
lot.
works.
It was funny. I thought it was supposed to be intentionally
Jarmusch
funny.
It is
basically
funny.
a
It's
comedian.
supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be
Okay.
funny, but it's also, but like every Jarmusch, or however you say his fucking name,
Jarmusch? Oh.
Jarmusch, it's supposed to be funny, but it's also supposed to be somewhat thought-provoking or meditative or make you,
Okay,
poetic and
all
make
right.
you think
For sure.
and
This is a movie that couldn't be made today. You couldn't do this. Like it's
Why
too
not?
many it's too many different things, and it's too weird. Like you can't put this movie in a box. They couldn't put it in a box in 1999 when it was
True.
released. Like,
yeah.
this had horrible box office, and it had
Yeah.
horrible advertising because they had no idea how to sell it to
The
anybody.
poster
It basically disappeared, went to video.
unless you were a
It was gonna be
Jarmusch
this
fan
movie.
or
or
like
Forrest Whitaker, or
or
Forrest
Forrest
Whitaker
Whitaker.
fan,
or a
which is
Forrest
how-
Whitaker fan, or if you were, like the sound, like the music in this film is so fucking good.
This is why- If someone told
Everything
me
is so.
this had a following because of the soundtrack, I'd believe it.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I saw there's a Forrest Whitaker movie about a black samurai and Riz is doing the music, I was like, I'm in. Like that was
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
all you had to do to sell me on
Yeah.
it. Like that's
Yeah.
day one.
Watching
Like,
it now, the only thing that kind of bugs me is how he flips the CDs and his guns like they're swords. I just think that's really fucking stupid, and I don't think it works as a joke or even as a real thing. But I think the rest of it is amazing. Like you guys were talking about the mob boss guy and the way he plays the character. One of my favorite scenes, one of the best scenes, of course, is, when they're all sitting around the table and they're like, now what the fuck is his name? And they're trying to get him to tell him
Hey,
about
said Ghost Dog.
Ghost Dog. Yeah. And he's like,
Hilarious.
passenger pigeon, that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
They're like stink.
but I love that. That entire scene is one of the best in the
Flavor
movies.
Flav.
Yeah, but when the main boss guy's all, it reminds me of the Indians. They all have names like runs with fit,
Yes.
like all that shit.
Runs with-
Like comparing Native American names to rappers' fucking names was brilliant, dude.
Yeah.
Absolutely fucking brilliant.
when
And this
he
film
walked-
did make me miss CD players in cars. I mean, that wonderful we got in Alexis, and you see that little rolling display that was on there, the double height one. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
those were cool.
when he busts into the room with the two of them at the end of the shootout in the mansion, and the one guy just has a fucking heart attack and dies.
Yeah.
I just started cracking. I cracked up the
That dude's
first
so
time I
funny.
watched it. I've seen this movie like 10 or 12
This
times. and
guy.
It gets,
Oh yeah,
yep,
that guy.
every
That guy.
fucking
'Cause
time
he's
that
the-
dude has a heart attack and dies, I just laugh my
He
ass
jumps
off.
up and he goes, "It's the fucking bird, man!" and it makes the joke even funnier because Ghost Dog lowers that gun.
Mhm.
He just like lowers the one. He's like, he's got the two. And he goes, "Oh, that guy's already dead."
yeah.
There's a couple other things that I think are really sweet. The relationship between Ghost Dog and the little girl with the book is great. And
she's
also
fantastic.
the
Yeah,
guy
she-
that
her
runs the ice cream
performance.
truck, their relationship where they don't speak each other's language, yet somehow they know exactly what each other is saying at
I
all.
know that was kind of
Yeah,
That was
I
when
love
he,
that.
when
So
he
nice.
runs up and he's like, his gun is empty.
Yeah,
Like
that
it's
was
so
that performance is amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, they always say he's like, "Oh, I gotta go. I gotta take care of some business." And he's like, in French, he probably has to take care of some business.
yeah, I know. It's like
That's all great.
No.
Yeah.
Like I said,
think it-
I don't, what's going on in that weird, like, that, is it 15 minutes, 20 minutes
Yeah, it's
where
about 15
nothing is
minutes.
happening?
Yeah, yeah.
It's that's Jarmusch being Jarmusch. I think
This
that's
is-
him.
And
That's
he's-
him making it a meditation on violence. I think.
Maybe.
Yeah, and he has a social commentary in there where he kills the poachers, right?
Oh yeah, that was nice.
Like that's, you could tell that's something that just
Right,
Jarmusch is
but
like probably wants the personal thing that he wanted to do.
but most of the dead space is after that scene.
Well, you could either
And
see,
You could go right from the poachers
Mhm.
to like
this.
wrapping it up
to
getting
High
the-
Noon. Yeah,
To
or to
this.
that.
Yeah, you could
which
go-
was a great hit.
that's a
Yeah,
great.
that's a cool hit.
But yes, there's like
I read that
weird-
he stole that hit from a Japanese film
Did he?
from Sun Tzu. What's that guy? The two S's. His name. He's a old
I know
school.
you're talking about. I couldn't remember his name either.
Yeah, yeah,
But
He also stole it. He also stole it from that cartoon the guy was watching.
yeah, yeah.
that's true. But
Although that was a
so
bathtub, but yeah.
the long bit near the end, just before shit hits the fan at the very end, it could be two things. It could be like he could be slowing the film down to make it more of a meditation, or it could be a third act problem in the script. You know, he just kind of.
I'm treating it like the latter because
Yeah.
the first half to 2/3 of this movie is so comparatively tight.
Yeah, Act 1 and 2 are strong. You know, the
Very
intros
great.
were
I'm like-
very strong.
I'm watching this going, if I've seen this, how come I don't remember it? Because this is flipping off.
There's also so many like you've got the dog like behind Scott there that
Yeah,
follows him
that's kind of a
around.
mystical kind of thing, huh?
But then you've also got like there's so much. Again, I go back to like he threw so much into this because you've got all the Japanese ancient texts, and then you've got the dog, but then you've got the pigeons. Like there's all these animals, and like there's these weird, like what does the dog mean? And except like he's just really being like, I'm gonna throw everything at the wall and see what kind of sticks.
You know, it's interesting you should mention the text because in Le Samurai, the quotation is made up.
Yeah.
Melville.
Yeah, that's right.
And in this one,
They're
the
real.
book that he quotes from is actually written almost during the Meiji period. And it's
Wow.
basically like remembering what the samurai were like because they weren't like that anymore. You
Well,
know?
they weren't. They weren't like that then either. The whole thing
Yeah.
about Bushido is it's completely made up.
Yeah.
Bushido was made up after
Really?
the end of what we consider the samurai period in the Edo, and then they were like, well, what if we put philosophy behind all of this? And then everyone was like, what? That's not what anyone does.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, you know, like
The,
Daryl's chicken or
the other
something.
thing that's
It's all made
I
up.
had no idea. I would have believed every word of it.
that book became super popular because during World War II, it was used by the Japanese army to instill.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, it makes
Yeah.
sense.
That's where all
Yeah.
the insane, like, you know, guys jumping in front of trains when they surrendered, and the
Yeah.
dudes fighting the war for 20 years on that
On the
island, in
island
the
somewhere.
Philippines, you know, like, yeah.
'Cause they
Like,
didn't
all
know-
that shit's because of that book.
Uh-huh.
So did the ancient samurai warriors not commit Harry whatever?
The only
Pepper
the only one that we know of for sure is the 47 Ronin, and apparently they did it because they knew they were going to get killed worse, and probably their families.
That's a movie, right?
There
there
it
is
is.
a movie.
The
Has
original
been
story.
many
The
movies.
only book I own, I read I have Sun Tzu's The Art of War or whatever his name is.
Sun Tzu.
Sun Tzu. Yeah, thank you. I read that. I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Better.
more like Machiavelli or
Yeah.
from Clausewitz. That's an actual like
Yeah.
strategist. Trying
Now
to
this
tell
movie
you
is
how to-
it's a lot more like
Sun
Myanmar.
Tzu, you magnificent bastard! I read your book.
Yeah.
I read your
This
book,
is more like the
Rama.
Samurai trilogy, or at least a film we can think of about Ronin. It's like it also has a Ronin ending, which means they don't get to live. You know, they don't. The Japanese film culture, they make a film about a Ronin or someone going against society. They always pay with their lives at the end. You know, that's
Fact,
pretty
The
much what you
story
have here
about
too.
the 47 Samurai is kind of made up too. I mean, there,
It's a legend.
Something
You know,
Did anyone-
historically happened there, but it's
a lot
Did
of
anyone
samurai.
read
it's not as deep as people would have you believe.
No, they just bum rushed this dude's house and killed him, and then they're like,
Yeah.
"Well, fuck." Anyway,
Fuck.
Did anyone read Ebert's review of this?
No.
So
Do you
I
have it?
read it. I read it, and I thought he pointed out something really funny and also interesting, which is that he's like, if you look at this as like, it's kind of like what Tad said. You know, this is like 4 degrees off of the real world, which I agree with that.
Mhm.
but you know, Ebert sort of pointed out, he's like, if you really look at this, the character of Ghost Dog is an insane person.
Oh, yeah.
He's 100% insane,
Mhm.
meaning like, because the whole time this mafia guy is never asking him to do any, like, he wants him to do the hits, but he never asked him to be his like retainer, as he keeps putting it a million times.
Yeah.
He never like, we didn't even know like what's Ghost Dog's training. Like, he was getting the shit beat out of him in the alley when he was a kid. By the way, that was like a really great actor lookalike, whoever
Yeah.
they got
Yeah.
to do that. That was amazing.
Mhm.
But I just thought that was really funny to point out that like this guy is really an insane person.
Like I said, unreliable narrator. He wasn't really
Laying
narrating.
on the ground with pigeons while they poop on him.
Yeah, it was just the nice close up
People
all the
and
stuff all over his
pigeons,
jacket.
But
So,
take
I
it,
mean,
but
it's
it's almost
usually
like, but like I almost looked at it
Right.
like this time when he was like, it was so cool when he made that fucking suppressor. By the way, it was so
Yeah.
rad.
Yeah.
But like scenes like that where he's fucking putting together the guns and doing that. I mean, one like if this movie is 4 degrees off from our reality, he's like 1 degree off of being like a fucking school shooter, or you know what I
Right.
mean, like a fucking total maniac who could take out,
Yeah.
you know.
So he's a crazy person in a film that's about a world that's slightly crazy.
Yeah.
Right, he's
Because,
crazier.
like, the
He's
mob
crazier than
guys
the
are
crazy world.
too.
Yeah, he's exactly. So, and he's probably nuts. Like I said, he's just he's got his code and no one understands it. I love how he set his career up though, and that it's all by passenger pigeon, and he never meets
Yeah.
Oh,
anybody.
God, I
He's-
love it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of neat. He goes out-
Passenger pigeon.
That's perfect. If you want to be a hit person, that's how I do it. You know,
Exactly.
This is
that.
like
It was-
70
it was-
to 80% totally great for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's awesome.
I
It was
just-
compelling. The
know
end
that-
got a little long, but it was compelling.
I mean, who Ghost Dog is he's basically Richard Kuklinski.
Mm.
Like, if you ever heard of Richard Kuklinski?
No.
He's a serial killer who got a job as a hitman for the mafia in New
Well, makes
Jersey.
sense.
And
Oh,
he's
for
the
real?
guy. He's the guy who like fed people to rats and stuff like
Oh.
that. Like he the first
That
person
seems
Best
like that would
job
take
he
a
ever
long
had?
time. Or
Yeah.
you better have a lot of rats.
the first person he killed, he like just drove down the street and shot some random homeless guy with a crossbow just because he wanted to know what it was like to kill somebody.
Mhm.
But like that's
Jesus.
Ghost Dog is that guy if he just has a little bit of philosophy behind him. But he's a serial
Right.
killer. He's a serial killer who got a job being a killer. So
Right.
he doesn't have to go out and murder randos. He can murder
or work at
Yeah.
Walmart.
Right.
He's like some
Yeah.
more. He's like a better Dexter or something. Like
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's a Dexter
good
with
double
a
bill would be with Hitchcock's Rope about
Right.
the Leopold and Loeb murders because
I
they
love
have
that movie.
Same sort of crazy.
See, I thought
got
we
a
should put,
philosophy.
but we should have put that with Thoroughbreds actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
maybe. I
actually,
can
yeah.
definitely see a similarity.
Rope and Thoroughbreds would be a good double.
A
But
good
yeah, but
double
they have
bill.
You could still do Rope and the fucking God, what the fuck's the name of that movie? The Philip Seymour Hoffman one about the killers in Kansas.
Oh, in Cold Blood.
Yeah, in Cold but there's the movie not in
Capote.
Cold Blood.
Capote.
Capote.
It's just
Yeah,
called
yeah.
Capote. Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's Capote, yeah.
But yeah. Oh, and do you have a corner on this, Jim?
That was it, I think.
Okay, good enough. Yeah.
But Jim, you also you like like I think we're all Jarmusch fans, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't
I am
see-
most-
You know,
I have a
didn't
hit and-
care
hit-
for what was probably the one I disliked the most was Coffee and Cigarettes.
I
Yeah.
saw that with John at the theater.
No.
My
I'm like
ex
hit
really
and
likes
miss
that
It
with
has Gina
Jarmusch.
Rollins in it.
Truth in advertising, though. That's all you saw.
My ex really likes that movie, which is how I got her to watch this.
my
I
favorite
even like
Jarmusch.
the Bill Murray one, Broken Flowers.
I like that one.
Broken Flowers was.
But my
okay.
favorite is Dead Man is my favorite.
Dead Man, and when you
Dead Man is pretty fucking weird, especially with what's his name? Who's the
But you
old
have to look at
actor?
it as a
Gavin-
comedy as well.
Gavin,
If
the
you look at it as a
Native
comedy,
American
it's
who
fucking
shows
hilarious.
up in this.
Oh,
Yeah.
We didn't have First is Best. Stranger Than Paradise is my favorite of his films.
That's
This is my favorite of his films.
Yeah.
I like this
And
one
you
a
know,
lot. This
I
is my
saw,
second favorite.
Mystery
Stranger
Train.
Than Paradise.
But
is like-
he's I don't like some of I don't like all I don't
No. I don't like all of his movies. I just
Oh,
like.
actually,
sorry,
his-
we haven't even mentioned the best one. Fucking Only Lovers Left Alive.
no,
That's
I
a good
hated
one.
that movie.
Oh, God, I love that.
I didn't
hated
see
that
it. I
movie.
didn't see it. So
I hated it.
And
But I
didn't
did
see
like-
the
Chris
zombie
Pickett.
one he just made.
Chris Pickett.
But I really loved
I so
I
wanna
really
see that.
loved Patterson. I thought was very good.
What about the zombie one he just did?
I didn't see it.
he did a zombie movie.
Yeah,
Oh,
Bill Murray, Tilda Swinton. It looked like a bit of a goof.
All the same sort of players he's been working with.
They all
these
do
days.
zombie movies eventually. I guess that's the big lesson here.
Bloom Girl loves
You
Only
should
Lovers.
do a zombie movie with,
Only Lovers Left
Guy
Alive was
in,
fucking You look up boring in the dictionary, and it's fucking picture of that
Nah.
poster.
All right, all right.
I will give this. I'll give this a qualified thumbs up. Other than the pacing problem, the last act.
I'm gonna.
Thumbs
I'm,
up.
with you. I'm all the way.
Good
almost
pick,
all the way
Tad. I'm glad I got
Good
to
pick, Tad. But
So I just want to mention something real fast, which this
Okay, by
is
all
the
means.
reason that I picked this movie on top of it feeding into the other movie, obviously, which is a movie I've wanted to pick for a long time.
Mhm.
Is that I like picking movies that I don't think could get made anymore. Like I think this is one of those. The Way of the Gun is another one of those. Like these are movies. These are movies that exist in a pre 9/11 world. And since 9/11 and since we've had the expansion of the modern studio system, you just can't make shit like this in America. Like this could get made
This
in
was 99.
yeah, 99.
this could get made.
More argument for that being the last greatest year of American movies, man.
Probably.
This could get made in Korea. This could get made in France.
Yeah, Korea early 2000s was the shit.
Like, but this could not get made in America anymore. And even if you had, like, if Whitaker was on board with it, as big a star as he is now, is maybe the only way that it could happen. That sort of like Brad Pitt driving Fight Club forward thing.
Yeah.
But like, I just don't see how you could make this and have a studio sign off on it because it's too fucking weird. Like anyone's going to sit there and read this script and go, "What the fuck?"
Well, they
are you
wouldn't.
doing?
It's not a moralistic issue.
What's
It's a green. It's I won't get my money back issue.
Right, exactly.
Well, mind you, they can make.
We don't know how to sell it. We don't know how to sell it in
at the
China.
same time that the studios were moving up to IPs and spending money on these kind of things. These films like this got cheaper to make because of digital, right? The digital cinema came around.
That part of the beauty of this movie is Robbie Mueller, and that's
because this is a full, like 3 giant tractor trailers full of camera shit, and it's a real goddamn production.
And it's
Yeah.
squibs.
Jared,
it's fucking
Jared,
squibs.
Real squibs, and you can feel the grain in this movie. You know it's filmed.
Jared, I could give you $250,000 and you could make a shot-for-shot remake of this thing. The only difference is no stars, because no one will sign up for it, right?
And you want to have that film grain though.
Well, you can always edit.
I could make a movie. I could make a movie that looks better than this actually, but
the thing is that they naturally do. That's the thing. Now they have, like, you shoot in 6 or 8K. That's cheap.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, it's going to look amazingly. It's going to look amazing. And but like I said, is this one thing you won't get is distribution and stars. That's the big difference.